Hello and welcome again to our class. This is Introduction to Information Technology 2. This is the 10th meeting and we are going to discuss and continue to talk about the no-code development, low-code development, but today we are going to explore further and deep about the web-based, where we are going to focus on how we can create web-based application, web-based games, as well as any kind of web-based uh, outputs using the no-code web-based programming. So before we begin, let's review first about the theory behind the web-based technology. So web-based technology are created with what we call web-based programming. So this is an application that doesn't require installation in the PC, or what we call in IT the client side of infrastructure. So this is a non-software modern computers that we can say complicated machines that turn the electricity into heat. So we are going to uh, know the development first, and then we are going to see an example on how this kind of web-based programming is handled and processed by using the browser. And also we are going to talk about the history behind this web-based technology. So before we begin, let's review and give a definition about programming. So programming is, in a simple term, it is called uh, an action that you tell to the computers to solve problems. Because programming is the process of creating a set of instructions that also tell and even teach the computer how to perform a task. In at the advanced level, we can teach the computer, and that's called the AI technology, or the short for artificial intelligence. So this kind of task can be done using a variety of computer programming languages, such as JavaScript that we discuss in previous meetings. Also, we know about Python, C++, that was created by a woman named Pamela Fox, and this thing is a great breakthrough in information technology, because computers programs or softwares are what create a lot of things that can be done throughout the society, throughout uh, the activity of the people, especially in the workplace situation. So without this kind of software, modern computers are just complicated machines for turning electricity into heat, or it's just what we call an analog type of technology. So it is a software on your computer that runs your operating system, browser, email, games, movie player, etc. There's a lot of things that you can do by using programming. So that's why it is important for us to know this kind of definition before we start with uh, something else in advanced level. So we know the definition about the programming. Now let's move on the history about the web programming. So here is the timeline of the web. So the web is started in 1960. It is simple, small, even though that we may be surprised that it is known in 1960, but in this era it's limited to certain people. It's not as popular as now, where people are going crazy if they doesn't feel the touch of internet connection. And it has been commercially known in 1991 as what we call World Wide Web. It is the first one that we can connect through a connection that called dial-up using our telephone cable. Some of you that may be able to feel that kind of connection would be grateful by now, because back then the connection is only about 30 kilobyte per second or even worse. And now with the speed that's going so high, we are maybe not feeling capable to compare the internet back then until now. We also have a lot of advance in technologies from that kind of era, where in 1994 the Apple and all companies that first started the computers era using Netscapes. And also in 1998 the first time the Google was created, and in 2004 that the Facebook are introduced, and 2007 where Android went and become big. And also the Kickstarter of it is the Apple phone back in 2007, and where we are starting to get into the era of smart devices in term for example tablets in 2010. And this is all the timeline until we know now. And it's quite an interesting history, because if we try to remember, all of this kind of technology has become a good memory for all of us. And that's why it is important for us to know the history, because history could also become something big for you, because with the history, so we can learn and have some kind of experience in order to develop a better technology. Now let's take a look on the devices that run this kind of web programming and web technology, which is what we know as browser. So a web browser, in its definition, was called an application software for accessing the World Wide Web or a local website. When this process happened, the users, in a simple term, they request a web page from a particular server or website, and the web browser retrieve the necessary content from a web server and then display the page on the user's device. So web browser is not the same thing as search engine. The two are often confused, and as a common uh, implementation now, web browser address and search engine was combined into one because of the society decided it should be. So it's quite an interesting one, interesting function that we know. And sometimes, or even back in the day, it was confused, because sometimes when people should be able to input a website address, they instead search it in Google. So that's why these kind of things happen and become an innovative way to access the World Wide Web. So we also need to define the search engine. So a search engine is a website that provides links to other websites. So in a short term, it's called an online directory about all of the websites that are crawled and also included in that directories. And the biggest one is the Google search engine, of course. However, to connect to a website server and display it web page, user must have this kind of browser installed. So we know, maybe some of you know, application to be used to access the World Wide Web. For example, we have Chrome. I personally love to use it, but back then, before Chrome, we have Mozilla Firefox. Maybe it's not as popular as now, but back in the day, this was one of the best browser that usually used by the people, by the society. We also have Opera, Safari by the Apple company, and also Internet Explorer that is introduced as a default browser when we use Microsoft operating system. So let's take some introduction with the browser. So let's start with Internet Explorer. So as I told you before, this is developed by Microsoft, the owner of the Microsoft Windows, where when we start using our new computer that installed with Windows operating system, this one particular browser is the one that we usually use to connect to the internet. However, Internet Explorer could be said that not a good browser, and because of it, it was shut down by the Microsoft teams. So it ended their support in 2021. So we can say that this would become a history. So we also know now Microsoft introduced a new browser that is quite good, but not as popular as the biggest browser, which is the Chrome. So again, as in it historical fact, Internet Explorer or Windows Internet Explorer is a discontinued series of graphical web browser developed by Microsoft and first introduced in 1995. It is the first line in operating system for the Windows. It was first released as part of the add-on package Plus in Windows 95. Latest versions were available as free downloads or in service packs and included in the original equipment manufacturer, or what we usually said OEM. That is a definition that we usually use when we buy a laptop or a PC, and sometimes it was labeled as original equipment manufacturer that has been installed when we bought it. So it's also released in Windows 95, later version of Windows, and the new feature development browser that was discontinued into the new browser, which is the Microsoft Edge. So this is the first one. We should be thankful and have some experience and historical, and also analyze how this doesn't work, but also we need to move forward. For the next example, we also have Safari. So Safari was developed by the Apple Edge. So even though that it is developed by Apple and focused on the Apple smartphone or laptops, but this could also be downloaded into other operating system. But basically, this is a primarily and based of open source software and mainly used as WebKit, as they say in the Apple, and it is used on Macintosh computers, Apple smartphone, iPhone, iPads, and also there was a Windows version back in 2007 to 2010. So Safari was first introduced in January 2003 and was also a competitor of Internet Explorer back then. and also Mozilla Firefox and the other browsers that was popular in that era. And by the time in 2020, the 14th version was released, and it was set was 50% faster than Google Chrome and consume less battery than other standard competitors. And this kind of version in the 15th version, it was redesigned, and this is typically happen even in not only in browser but also in a lot of application. The next one we have Opera. So Opera was the name of the web browser and also the company that made the web browser. This is also was popular back in the day, and Opera focus on what we call a multi-platform web browser that is developed into a lot of operating system. Even now, even in smartphone version, it has two types, where the focus one, which is the same name is Opera, but it also has the mini version of it, where it was called Opera Mini. So in its history, Opera was initially released on 10 April 1995, making it one of the oldest desktop web browsers, which is still actively developed today and also have a lot of uh, users. So it was a commercial software for the first 10 years and had its own proprietary layout engine, which was called Presto. In 2013, Opera switched from the Presto engine to what we know as Chromium. So this web browser can be used on Microsoft Windows, Android, iOS, Mac OS, Linux operating system, and they are planning to do a lot of operating system as well. There are also mobile version called Opera Mobile and what I said earlier, Opera Mini. Additionally, Opera users have access to a news app based on AI platform, which was called Opera News. And this company released a gaming oriented version as well for the browser and called Opera GX in 2019, and a blockchain focused Opera crypto browser into public beta just recently in January 2022. We also have Mozilla Firefox. The developer name was also the same, but a little different, which is called Mozilla Foundation. And the web browser lets one access information in form of text, audio, images, and videos from all around the world. Mozilla Firefox was developed by Mozilla Foundation in 2022 under the community which was called Phoenix Community. Nowadays, it is called Firefox only as it's derived from Mozilla web browser. It is also known as Mozilla Firefox. Mozilla Firefox can also be used to browse via Android and iOS, and it was officially released in 2024 and gave tough competition to Microsoft Internet Explorer back in the day when it's still an add-ons in security and speed. Firefox got the highest popularity at the end of 2009 and when it had reached 32% of the market usage. But after the introduction of Google Chrome, the popularity of Firefox declined, and as of now, it has only around 5% market user. The last one is Google Chrome, and of course, we all know it was developed by Google itself, and it is also a focus on cross-platform web browser, and it was developed back in 2008, and it is included as a free software. It is a free software components which was taken from Apple WebKit. also Mozilla Firefox, and it was later ported into Linux, Mac OS, iOS, and Android as well, where it is set as the default browser in Android smartphone, and that become the huge uh, introduction and marketing of the browser since it become as popular today. The browser is also a main component of Chrome OS, which was not really a popular operating system by Google, where it served as the platform for web applications. Fun fact about the Chrome OS that not really popular, it is now focused on given as part of the infrastructure in education, and some a lot of time Google give it for free for its user. So back to the Google Chrome, so it has what we it called source code, where it comes from Google's free and open source software projects, which was called Chromium, but Chrome is licensed as proprietary freeware. So even though that it was a commercial one, it is shared to the community to be developed as an open source. So anyone can get the source code for free and use it for their own internet browser engine. And they also has the WebKit that was the original rendering engine, but Google eventually forked it to create what they call Bling engine, and all Chrome variants except iOS now use Bling. As for now, in 2021, StatCounter estimates that Chrome has 68 worldwide browser market share on personal computers PC and most used on tablets and it's also dominant on smartphone and at 65 across all platform combined. This is an important knowledge for us because when we are going to focus on making and developing web-based application, especially using no-code application, we need to know the market share, because sometimes when we design this kind of things, we cannot choose to entertain all of the browsers. So it would be a safety measurement if we focus on how it would look great in one certain browser. And for today's market, we are going to be wise if we choose to design it according to the use of in Google Chrome web browser, where it is the share the most used web browser in the world according to the data. Next, let's talk about the web programming triangle, sorry. So it is the most basic tools that every web developers need because they are the language through which web pages are built. This is an important one. So it is usually known as the web developer, and even though that we are going with no code programming in web-based application, we also need to at least understand this triangle as it's fundamental. So what is the web programming triangle? So it comes to this: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This is the web programming triangle, where HTML or hypertext markup language would define itself as the content of the web page, where the JavaScript is used as a program to give the behavior of the web pages, and for the CSS it is specify the layout of the web page. So it is the programming triangle that focus and structure all of the web pages that was introduced in the browser. So let's take a deep look more on that. So HTML, hypertext markup language, is the main programming language for web development, but in this case, we really don't say that it is a programming language, but more as a markup language or kind of code where we are going to define the content in the internet. So it defines the basic structure of sites such as text, heading, paragraphs, lists, etc. And HTML language is formed from a bunch of established tags which represent a variety of functions that are then translated into readable information on the screen. They also have tags that are separated by angle brackets and some kind of other operator that they use in HTML. For the CSS, which stand for Cascading Style Sheets, it is what was to say as the designer inner way to specify how HTML elements will appear on a web page. So it can give the website a style and can be used to apply RGB values, which is the color values, and it stands for red, green, and blue. It can also maintain or style border colors, background images, and other formatting to a website. So in short term, CSS define a set of rules which include a number of properties and also their values. So it's an important to make the website looks good, not only the function where the HTML come from, but in the term of design, CSS will going to play. So it also comes into question why CSS is needed. So HTML was never intended to contain text for formatting a document because it would be too much of a hassle, and HTML was only intended to define the content of the document. For example, we have heading where we write as H1 and paragraph, and we give it the code P, and it's the short of paragraph. When text like font and color attributes were added to HTML3 that we know now, in its specification, it started a nightmare for web developers because it went into a lot of destruction because development of larger websites where fonts and color information were added to every single page become a long and expensive process to solve this problem. And then the W3C or the World Web Consortium create CSS. In HTML4, all formatting could be removed from the HTML document and stored in a separate CSS file. And all browsers support CSS today. It is one of the biggest help and solution to the era. That's why CSS is needed. The last one is JavaScript. JavaScript allows its user to control the behavior of their web page. It also as not only because CSS did the design, JavaScript usually make all the animation or all things that were meant to be designed seriously in web development. So they will need to learn this kind of basic of JavaScript because this language offers a low entry barrier and immediate result based on the success of their code, making it one of the most popular and widely used programming language globally. This JavaScript lets user interacts with websites by manipulating HTML and CSS. For example, when they are clicking a button, scrolling to the bottom of the page, or displaying photos in a carousel move. This programming language will become dynamic and type and classless. It also gives programmers the choice of object-oriented programming that you will learn in advanced level of IT. It's procedural or functional programming, making it a highly versatile programming language, and especially apparent in web browsers. For example, JavaScript can be used to dynamically change website, validate from form entries even before they are sent to the target server, switch dialog boxes, as well as integrated script for downloading and uploading. JavaScript has also become an essential and core tool for online marketing, as many advertisements are programmed with the JavaScript. This language could also be used to read and write cookies, which make modern marketing strategy such as targeting is possible. In short, this kind of method programming language has helped to shape what we have today in the internet. The modern internet and also integral part of today's web browsing experience that we can enjoy today better without hassle and more importantly helpful in any way. We know the triangle of the websites. Now let's continue on our topics. Let's talk about the core of our topics today, the no-code web programming. So no-code programming platform is commonly designed with a smooth and user-friendly interface. This is what we need to know and implement first when we are going with no-code web-based programming, where we need to make sure our design will be smooth using the triangle that we learned today. And don't forget, we also need to make sure that it's user-friendly interface, because we don't know the capability of our users in the internet. Sometimes we will get a user that's smart, but sometimes there are a lot of people that cannot access the technologies as smart as it seems to be. So that's why it is important for us to know how we can design our web-based application. More into the no-code web-based programming, this kind of programming has what we call a framework, where it act as a software design mechanism that let non-technical users create and implement software without requiring any knowledge about coding. So it doesn't really giving people hard times using the no-code frameworks. Same as what we learned before about no-code programming, this one is also the same, because it creates and implements software without the experience of the software developer that should able to have. So no-code programming platform are usually designed with a smooth and friendly interfaces that they can also include function that we known in the previous meeting, which is the drag and drop features. Is also allow user to see the implementation of procedure and comprehend the overall logic in that application easily. It also raise a question where we are going to develop this kind of web-based technology. What can user build with no code? What is the limit of no code programming in web-based? So while we are making or using the no code programming platforms, we as a developers can create simple application for performing specific function, but don't expect this kind of things to be highly robust or highly compatible, because not all of the things would work perfectly, not in the no code programming or low code programming. But we do have what things that we can use this no code programming. For example, we have the developing back office mobile application like KPI monitoring and invoice processing. We can also make designs web application like restaurant booking apps and online shopping apps, or the mobile apps development process, or to monitor workflow such as set internal service level contracts so that employees can acknowledge after completing a task. So that's what we can use with the no code programming. We also need to learn the advantages of this kind of no-code platform. We know that it could give spaces to create something innovative. We do know that no-code platform would also lower software development costs by roughly 80%. These things could happen because the conventional software developing approaches usually expensive and they require employees to hire professor technical staff. uh, what I mean is professional technical staff, where it is not a good thing to do. But with the use of a no code programming framework, there's no need to invest that kind of things. We doesn't need to hire professional technical staff, since there's no need for coding if we use this platform. Even non-technical people can very well do the job. It also can give us as developers time to concentrate on our clients' needs and create something that we can enjoy as the advantages of this platform, because developers can choose to offer rich models to configure and utilize most of the no-code programming framework. Because with this programming platform, there's no need to start from scratch, hence it saves our time, our clients' time, allowing us to invest for something else. But even though that we have the advantages of this no-code platform, it also have its own disadvantages or drawbacks. So the first one is the integration of application. It would be difficult because depending on the before mentioned low code and no code spectrum, it may be difficult to pull in data from other existing applications, because by using this no code application, it's usually acts as individually manner, and as today it is quite hard to integrate it without having the modern or better technology that has been introduced by the company that giving this platform. So this kind of things would be ostensibly no code programs that actually provide tools for the integration. So we need those kind of tools. Even if we have that tool, it would also require us to capable with basic programming. It also have the disadvantages of limited usability, because the trade-off for simplicity and ease of use is that this platform doesn't extend to support complex capabilities. It's only able to process simple function, and even no code vendors at escape hatches or other features to let technically savvy users do the coding to create more varied customization and critical business apps. For example, Betty Blocks offer users a split view, citizen developers access drag and drop modules and on the left side of the screen, and coders click on the right side of the screen to enter programming code and access more extensive options. It would be a good solution for them, but it's still limited, and it is quite a bad disadvantages with no code programming. Now we understand the advantages and disadvantages of no code programming. Let's move on to the next topic, the what we call no code website builders. So in order to make a no code web-based application, we need what we call website builders. And out there are a lot of good website builders tools that we can use and hopefully can solve the problem and the needs of our website based no code application. So this kind of website builder or tools are vary in terms of function, advantages, and also its disadvantages. So that's why we need to compare those kind of tools and vendors. So it doesn't matter if you are showing off your work, promoting your small businesses, or creating a hub for community group. You don't need to know a single line of HTML or CSS code to get what we call a professional looking, fully functional website. Even though that it would extend to more advanced features like online shop or web-based booking system, website builders would have a sort of tools to help you with that. Few example that we can discuss in here, we have Squarespace, we have Weebly, Jimdo, Tumblr, and even Wix website that usually we see in our advertisement. Even for us that we usually have IT enthusiasts, we usually get that kind of ads. So the first one, Squarespace. So Squarespace is undoubtedly one of the most recommended and comprehensive website builders out there, because in Squarespace we can use it to build websites from almost everything, from small businesses to their upcoming wedding, or uh, the the center of uh, a lot of superbly collection of templates to start and to use in our website based technology. It is one of the recommended one, and if we want to use this could also be used to create portfolio web-based uh, technology. We can also make an online store that has a lot of sample that we can use. Next one, we also have Weebly. It's basically the same, but Weebly focus on the balance of how it being easy to use and offer advanced size features. So unlike the Squarespace, this is use at advanced site features such as the drag and drop editor in one more straightforward ones, and its design function like newsletter in a word processor. Even though that this kind of function, which is called Weebly editor, doesn't offer quite the level of flexibility as some of its competitor, but still user will able to easily put together some attractive looking pages and making a wonderful web-based technology, web-based application out of it. The next one, we have Jimdo. So Jimdo is a website builder that's tried to create a website with a few steps as much as possible. Even if they can do it in one click, they will do it in one click. So if you want something that looks good, if you want to get a web-based application fast, this will be your option. This platform might able to help you with this kind of feature that they have. It also have most of its service. For example, once a user has signed up for Jimdo, they will be asked to pick a template, and these templates are all using smart AI based technology without being spectacular, and cover all the basic including portfolios, blogs, and small businesses as well. Its editing tools are far from being most advanced, unlike Weebly, but it's not really that necessary a problem for its user, because it's looking for something that's straightforward, simple, and fast, and especially easy to use. Next one, we have Tumblr. This is one of the legend website builder that has been also used as one of its community. So Tumblr focus on particular types of content such as text, images, video, and links, and the emphasis of the platform is to get them up as quickly and as easily as possible, almost the same as the Jimdo platform. So it focuses on how it's more straightforward and set up the website as easily as possible. So if user use Tumblr and know some HTML, they can also tweak their content as what they wanted using Tumblr, because Tumblr includes a plenty powerful tool for customization uh, for its user, especially for non-coders as well. So if you dig a little bit deep into Tumblr, and its credentials as a website builders become apparent, because the users can create static pages alongside their blog post, because this one focus on the blog type of website. They can also assign their own domain to their site rather than using the free Tumblr address, and they can invite multiple users to manage and post to their website as well. This is also important for someone who are going with website technology that focus on content base. Maybe when you are making a news type of website that really need to focus on how it was fast and easy to be made, so it will be fast to be accessed by the society using the internet. The next one, we also have Wix, and it's focused more on the entrepreneurial side or businesses side, because Wix created its website for the professionals that uh, would show off their works or their businesses. By using Wix, its user could get a two choice when it comes to build their first website. So first one, they can have what it's called Wix ADI. They have the tools called ADI, which is stand for Artificial Design Intelligence, as its creator, where they will ask them a few questions and then produce a website for them. Second one, they have the what they call Wix Editor, which gives them a bit more of hands-on experience in terms of layout, fonts, colors, and other page elements. This shows how versatile Wix is, whether they have never built a website before or have some previous experience. The platform can adapt accordingly. That's why it become one of the also recommended website builders that we can use to create our uh, web base using no code development web-based application. Now let's compare between uh, the function and also the cost when we are going to use this kind of website uh, vendors and tools to use for our web-based technology. First, let's start with Wix. So Wix has the cheapest cost is $24 a month. Oh, sorry, I meant $4.50 a month, and it only comes with the custom domain features. It has what we call SSL certificate, where it gives you a security based domains where it's commonly used, because right now without using SSL, your website will be full of ads by the internet service provider. It also gives you a bandwidth of 1 gigabytes per month. So when user reach that limit, the the website will stop surfing unless they paid for more. It also gives you storage of 500 megabytes and a customer service that supports you with that's kind of uh, technical situation that you need. It's actually a good price, but maybe it would be a little bit expensive, but you can also choose more because the features, as you can see, let's compare it with the other. We have also Gymno here. So Gymno, the cheapest one is $9 a month, and it only comes with two functions where it is a domain included and ad free, because sometimes this kind of website builders come with ads to be shown on their website, and even though that this is quite a good feature, it doesn't really compare with the Wix, and also it's a little bit expensive, more expensive than Wix. We also have Weebly, and it starts from $5 a month to only connect, and the features is basically almost the same because they are competing with each other. It won't be really different. It has also free SSL security, and you can ask for more when you upgrade into $12 a month, where it will have unlimited storage, connect to a custom domains, remove Weebly ads. So it's not that good compared to Wix, because when you pay $5, you will still see ads from the Weebly if you use Weebly, the Connect package. We also have Squarespace, where in my personal opinions it's quite expensive because it starts from $14, but by using this $40 we have a lot of function that we can get. Aside from what we mentioned earlier, it even have unlimited bandwidth, and we have given a video storage for a maximum of 30 minutes, where we can show our upload video into our own storage and give it to our visitor to stream. They also have search engine features for site visibility, so it would be shown on your search engine and optimize in a lot of mobile smartphone. For $14 a month, I think this is a good recommendation, and comparing to the other, I think Squarespace is a lot better in terms of its functionality and function to be used by its user, even though that it's a little bit expensive. But for my recommendation, we can use Squarespace to create a better and good website based technology with little to no coding at all. So that's all for the comparison of what we can use. Let's move on to the last but not least, where we are going to give a conclusion. So the conclusion of our discussion today, that by knowing the modern application development platform that combines the speed and efficiency of no-code development with the expressiveness and capability of traditional development, it would represent a change for us, whether as an individual, organization, institution, companies, or whatever we want to be, to completely change how we deliver application in web-based application. Because what web-based is focused is on its connectivity, how it could connect wherever we are. It unlike the use of PC-based application that sometimes it's not mobile and it have to stay at one place at one time. So by using the web-based technology, we can use it dynamically between businesses and combination with information technology, so they can work together instead of at cross purposes, which can happen especially with niche and ecosystem of no-code tools. So back to the uh, definition, it should be able to be combined and accessed as not only uh, not only the first one, but also combine not only the IT but also combined with the business level. Even so, you will also think that this is a good solution even when you're going with startups businesses, or maybe you are going with some uh, business idea or pitching some kind of idea. You can try to use it as solution when you combine businesses and IT, and it would work together and create that cross purposes that it could help and uh, complete each other. And it can happen especially with a lot of works that we can do. And also us when we are focusing ourselves not as a startups idea, but a part of organization, a part of company, a part of executive, or maybe the low uh, tier in that kind of organization and company. We also need to aware that even though that we are in the lowest tier, or maybe doesn't have the responsibility and the rights to give a decision about the use of IT, we can make a better explanation when we master or learn how to do this kind of things. That's why we focus on learning about this information technology. So even though that we are the lowest tier of employees that doesn't really give decision, we can talk and try to make our top tier top manager, our boss, to understand and make the decision for us, and it would help better in institution, in company, and also between us as colleges, because by the use of this kind of IT solution, as I may say, it could change on how the cultures and the environment of the company or the institutions work, because it will create a dynamic line of connection where IT could become as a solution, and also how to decrease the kind of problems that may arise if we didn't take an action and use the information technology as its solution in order when the problem came, because this would also make a lot of things bad if we don't do it the right way, the right tools, and even the right step and plan that we need to have. Last but not least, in order to get more and more of your level skills and upgrading your competency, I give you references to the triangle of the website development, where we can learn from. This is actually my favorite website to learn, because it is one of the greatest teaching tutorial, which is the w3schools.com. You can try to learn more about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript there, and hopefully when you wanted to explore more, you can move to PHP programming language, or Python, or others kind of programming language that you can use in order to uh, increase your capability in information technology. So that's all from me today. If you have any question regarding this topic, you feel free to email me. uh, Hopefully we can have a nice discussion, and see you again next week. Bye bye.